Today was media day at the Paul Ricard circuit for the 2021 French GP. There's a fair bit that went on today, and I'm going to run through what I saw after this. Let's start off with George Russell. He's on the thumbnail for this video. He came in today dressed in a pale yellow shirt, white shorts, Duke and Dexter shoes, and looked like he'd stepped off a boat. And initially I was a little bit miffed as to what the logo was on the shirt, but a quick call out to my Instagram followers yielded the answer that apparently it is the 1948 Puma logo used on the Rudolph Dassler Legacy tee. But photographing George is quite a treat because often when he parks his car, he'll walk a good way before he puts his mask on. And today, he didn't put it on until he actually got inside the swipe gates. Now, here in France, I think it was yesterday, and if it wasn't yesterday, or maybe the day prior, it was decreed that masks were no longer needed to be worn outside. But everyone's playing it safe, and outside we still had to wear masks. Although Lando Norris completely forgot he had no mask on. He got out of the car, his manager and trainer dropped him off at the front gate, and he quickly jumped out, put his backpack on, headed through the swipe gates. In fact, when I posted this on Instagram, there were so many comments about his shoes. This is what he was wearing. But Lando had completely forgotten he was without a mask. He entered the swipe gates, went about 15 metres, and then it became clear that he wasn't wearing a mask. And the Netflix sound guy actually said, "Do you want a mask?" Lando said yes, so the sound guy goes to his bag, rummages through it, but in the meantime, Lando pulled one out of his bag, donned it, and headed on into the paddock. But that's an easy thing to do. I'm sure if you're living in a country where masks are required outside, occasionally you forget you don't have one on. So where are the drivers staying, I hear you ask? Well, there are 2 hotels nearby the track. Most of them are in one of those 2 hotels. The rest are staying in motorhomes, which are adjacent to the track. And Seb Vettel walked in on foot today, very nearly got into the paddock without anybody noticing him. But as you can see here, very clearly, he was carrying his own steering wheel, and he confirmed that as he entered the paddock. But he did take a good number of minutes to chat with Wolfgang Wilhelm, who was I'm pretty sure he's a Mercedes photographer at the moment, and I don't know what they were talking about, but that's the beauty of Seb. He will often stop and chat to people that he's known and worked with in the past. Wives and girlfriends, were there any today? Yes. Tiffany Cromwell was in with Valtteri, didn't see them, but happened to know that they were there. Fernando Alonso's girlfriend, Linda Morcelli, was at the track. Now, I haven't seen her for at least a couple of years. And also Esteban Ocon's girlfriend, Elena Berry, was at the track. And once again, it's been a good 2.5 years since Elena was at the track. She's now working in Geneva and was test riding one of these Angel bikes, because they are quite quick and beautiful to ride. But as you can see, Elena mastered it, and she'd be pretty happy too that her boyfriend has now secured himself a 3-year deal driving for Alpine. However, because Esteban arrives with his trainer in the Alpine sports car, which only has 2 seats, she doesn't get to walk in with him. But hopefully we'll catch a photo of the 2 of them at some point over this weekend. The Ferrari boys, they came in, both of them driving Ferraris, both driving Romas. Now, Charles Leclerc was driving his own car, which he'd driven from Monaco, which I'm guessing is 2.5 hours drive. Carlos Sainz, he had a car that was on loan from a car dealership here in the south of France. But both of them were met by their social media crew, and they did a little shoot in front of the swipe gates. And look, I've not owned a Ferrari, so I had no idea that the name of the model appears on the dashboard, as you can well see here. I'm disappointed that I missed Lewis Hamilton arrive today, because I don't know whether you've seen the photos of what he was wearing, but my gosh, it was out there. Black gumboots with bright green soles, along with black shorts and a black waterproof jacket, I think it was, and a bright green turtleneck sweater. And he had his dog Roscoe with him. Now, I haven't seen Roscoe at the track for a goodly long time, and I only glimpsed Roscoe walking across the paddock. The reason I didn't get Lewis coming in was because I chose to go and do some track walk photos. So I got the likes of Mazepin, who else? His teammate, Schumacher, Giovinazzi doing something with Karen Chandok, which will appear on television shortly, I imagine, where they were both on scooters. Fernando Alonso and a couple of others, including this F3 driver, Matteo Nannini, who was doing his track walk on a skateboard. Now, I've not seen that before. I've seen them do it on bikes, on scooters, but never a skateboard. Also coming out of that motorhome today with Lewis and Roscoe was Angela Cullen, and I caught up with Angela later in the day with what was a monstrous bottle of water, And if you have a look on the side here, it tells you how you're going with your water intake. Nothing special in there, she said. It's just plain water, but it just shows how much you need to drink. Daniel Ricciardo was hard to find, but later in the afternoon I found him doing an interview in the paddock with one of the TV networks, and that's what happens on a Thursday in the paddock. Different arrangements are made with teams and drivers to do interviews with the various TV crews, and Lando was doing one just behind, so they were actually back to back at one point. Also doing an interview in the paddock was Seb Vettel, and I can't help but think, in this picture, doesn't he look like a schoolboy? Late in the day, Pierre Gasly arrived back into the paddock from outside the paddock, and he was wearing his full race suit along with a helmet, and Yuki Tsunoda was also with him, and I believe they've been out doing a video maybe for social media somewhere outside the paddock, and it was a nice shot to get them walking back in their kit. But earlier in the day when he arrived, he pulled up and there was great confusion over where the drivers should park. And I must admit, I asked a few people saying where the drivers park, and they couldn't tell me. And Pierre actually said, "Where do we park?" I had to say, look, no one seems to know, but eventually he found a place to park. But he was good-natured about it, of course. Take a photo of your luggage and keep it on your mobile phone. In the event that yours goes missing, instead of trying to describe it to the airline and tick a box on their piece of paper, give them the picture. You'll have a far better chance of recovering your luggage quicker. Didn't see last race winner Sergio Perez. I'm not sure how I missed him, but I had a chat with his brand manager, Luis Alvarez, who's a very classy guy and has one of the best hairstyles in the paddock, I think you'd agree. And I asked him whether they'd had a big celebration for his win in Baku, and he said no. Checo had a glass of champagne on the plane home, and he didn't even finish it because they have work to do. But there's a very strong feeling in the Checo camp that more good things are on the horizon. I'm sure a lot of you will know that Will Buxton has not been well of late, and as such he stayed back in Britain, but taking his place is Laura Winter. Now, I met Laura today. She previously covered the likes of cycling, and she's been elevated to F1, so that's a fair promotion. So you'll see her a lot on F1's content from this race, and I thought she had a pretty dazzling dress on here. And a reminder, you're getting these videos free of charge with the compliments of Canity.com, the world's best online staff training platform. And also, if you noticed that there's an applaud button now on my YouTube page, go and click on it, see what it does. Of course, the other option is just like and subscribe and join as a member, because you get those great roars coming to you after most races, and you get wallpapers every month, and I've just put up a whole stack more this week. Now, I mentioned Carlos Sainz earlier. The Ferrari driver was doing some interviews in the TV media pen towards the end of the day, and I just kept my finger on the shutter to produce this series of images. There's no doubt that things are looking up in the Formula One world. The COVID situation is improving around the world. There are 15,000 fans coming to this race, albeit they're in 3 separate bubbles, about 5,000 each, I believe. But next race in Austria, there'll be fans, and at the second Austrian race, I believe we'll be having a full house, if not full, certainly close to it. But the thing is, we still have to wear masks, and not just any mask, we have to wear a certain type of mask, which provides maximum protection. And finally, because we're media, we get these gifts often at races, and today we got given a couple of cups and a bucket hat. You can't be unhappy about that. And if you're looking for a gift for a friend, can I recommend one of my F1 driver books? I've not only got a special book for every one of 23 drivers, I've just started a 2021 Best Of book. Every driver's featured, and all of the pictures are from this year. If you'd like to own any of my digital images, head to prostarpics.com. There's merchandise at kimillman.com, and I also have a number of NFTs still for sale, non-fungible tokens, and you'll find those at OpenSea. There's a link down the bottom. Oh, and if you haven't watched my last video, go and have a look at it. It details my 31-hour journey from Baku to Le Castellet. And there's a very funny bit in there about this terminal at Moscow's airport, which is completely abandoned. With that said, thanks for watching, and stay passionate. Which provides maximum protection.